Hey guys, how's it going? How are you today? I'm here to do, instead of doing the extended readings by ascendant, I actually want to focus them specifically on the North Node Neptune trine that's happening right now. Now, this trine is going to perfect around May 22nd to about the 26th. But they're going to be traveling very close to each other for most of the rest of the year, so through September. So the guidance that I want to give you here with these cards will be valid for this transit for the majority of the year. Now, this actually, the last time the North Node and Neptune were in a trine was in January of 2014. When the North Node was in Scorpio and Neptune had just moved into the early degrees of Pisces. So this is kind of a big deal. And the next time that they'll be in this kind of relationship, again, the North Node and Neptune will be conjunct, actually. So you might want to maybe go back to what was happening in January of 2014. You might see some early seeds of what's coming up again, helpful seeds. So I'm going to break it down by the ascendant and take a look at where the North Node is in your chart, where Neptune is in your chart, and where the South Node is in your chart. Now, the North Node is where the South Node is what we bring with us, the gifts that we bring with us from a past life, kind of our comfort zone, so things that you already know how to do innately. And the North Node is what you came here to study, kind of like what your major is in college. And Neptune in Pisces, Neptune is at home in Pisces. It's its domicile, so it's very strong there. And Neptune is, I just wrote down some notes this morning. Neptune is where we merge, where the material doesn't exist, where you can say things like, I can see it, I can feel it, but I can't touch it. It has to do with dreams, imagination, where we feel higher spirituality, where we feel weightless, where we dissolve, the collective unconscious. It's the merging, you know. So like hydrogen is available in all aspects of the universe, but it takes on different forms. So that's so Neptune is where, when Neptune is present, things can feel shapeless. They can feel like they're dissolving. They've become very foggy. And this is likely also that confusion that we've been having to do with it. And it's one of those places where wherever that's happening, we sort of have to let go and let God, or to sort of imagine what our ideal situation would be like, even if we can't hold on to it. So there's an absence wherever it's going to hit in your chart, or wherever it's hitting in your chart. Neptune, that will actually be a very long transit, so it will be going on for much longer in the next few months. But what is happening right now is that dissolution of whatever house it is actually helping you learn what you need to get to your next step, and also learn how to release pieces from the past. So with that preamble, I'm going to use this deck, always the sort of spiritual guidance for Neptune in Pisces. And I got this new deck that I really like. It's called Work Your Light. So I'm going to use this to represent the North Node. And then I'm going to use Osho's Zen Tarot for what needs to be released, and talk about the triangle between these. Since I don't love triangles, I also have this really cool deck called the Art Oracle. And I don't know how useful it's going to be. Some of the messages are kind of cryptic, I'll be honest. So it's like, I'll put it in at the end as kind of a bonus message. Some of them are interesting, some of them are less interesting. You kind of have to know the artist and a little bit about them for it to make sense. But I thought it would be just a nice piece to like sort of turn that into a fourth cornerstone to help you out. So that said, I want to get started with the Aries ascendant. So Aries ascendant will have North Node in the 4th house, the South Node in the 10th house, and Neptune in the 12th house. So that Neptune is making Aries ascendant very psychic. It's releasing also a lot of past life karma, dissolving it. At the same time, it may make some confusion about things that are in that house. Now, an Aries sun with an Aries ascendant may have their sun in the 12th house. So it's, your identity may suddenly be shrouded in fog. And what the 4th and the 10th axis means is that the South Node is what we're good at. So you've had a very clear identity for a very long time, how the world saw you, and that is being released. And the way towards your future now is to nurture, to really embody that 4th house. So the roots, the family, things that have to do with the home, any type of healing, so Neptune in the 12th is also healing. We'll trine that 4th house. So that said, let's get to the cards here. And let's see what Neptune in Pisces has to say for Aries Sun, Aries Ascendant. Neptune in Pisces, Aries Sun, Aries Ascendant in that 12th house. What message does Neptune in Pisces bring? Oh, I'll take it. Isis, magic manifesting. Okay, and the message is your dreams, visions, and goals are becoming reality. Stay focused. Love it. Let's do the North Node. What message from the North Node in Cancer in the 4th house, trining that Neptune? What message from the North Node in Cancer in Aries Ascendant 4th house? What message? North Node 4th house for Aries Ascendant. Oh, take a second. Warrior woman, have you answered your deepest calling? So that's an interesting, particularly for, look at these two strong female figures here. Okay, they're like warrior queens. And as your dreams start manifesting, it's in line, because look at that sword, right? It's like receiving messages from the front. So this is becoming following your deepest calling, which comes from your psyche in the 12th house, in order to move forward. Now let's see what you need to release. What is the South Node energy? South Node in the 10th house for Aries Ascendant. Okay, I'll take both actually. So you're in, as I said, your Neptune in the 12th, lots of past life karmic contracts being solved. This is also, it's a 4 of Swords, so it says postponement. Are we procrastinating? I say we because I'm also an Aries Ascendant. It's like you can see the vision, but we're still living in the gray. So we have to give up this sort of procrastination, habits of procrastination, or also perhaps expectations of what it's going to look like. It's like there's a reframing of the image that needs to happen. Maybe it's a little bit smaller than you thought. Maybe it needs to be colored in. So we have to stop postponing working, or really actually just have to stop postponing getting rid of this past life karma here. So if you guys are interested in energy work or in any sort of cord cutting from the past or working with energy healers, this is very welcome right now. But it really is asking to stop waiting, stop staying in this sort of gray space here, and really step into this colorful imagination of this warrior goddess here. Now let's get one more message from the Art Oracle for Aries Sun, Aries Ascendant. What's the creative wisdom from the artists? Okay, who did we get? Diane Arbus, who is also a fantastic female photographer. So her advice is, and this is like life, work, and inspiration, look directly at whatever you're avoiding. Amazing. So that actually makes perfect sense. You know, so stop avoiding it, just get to it. Look directly at whatever you're avoiding. The bullseye is always in the margins. God, it's a lot more accurate than I thought it would be. And listen when a city tells its secrets. Interesting. I feel like that's a meditation, but you see also the sword in the woman's head and how she's holding it. So for this group, I would say definitely do a little Google on Diane Arbus if you're interested. Listen when a city tells its secrets is an interesting meditation that I would invite further reflection on. It may, you know, it's like, look at that, kind of like takes a village kind of thing. There's all these players from the back. So there's some sort of story within this city of people here that you're in the process of releasing. Okay, so anyway, like she said, look directly in, focus, it's in the margins. The bullseye is always in the margins, so you need to stop dispersive energy, you know, focus. Okay, awesome. Gonna move on to the next one. Taurus ascendant. Now, Taurus, Aries Sun, Taurus ascendant has Neptune in the 11th house. So that is the house of hopes and wishes. It's the house of the collective. It's the house of friends. You may find that it's not clear who your friends are, who you can count on anymore, what associations you should continue to maintain. You may be wondering what your hopes should be. Are your dreams big enough? Are they big enough? Should they be smaller? And actually, with the North Node in your 3rd house and the South Node in your 9th house, what that actually says is that the evolution is going to come by staying in your immediate neighborhood. So whereas you may have had a past node or a past life situation that's much more international, that's much bigger, that has to do with philosophy, has to do with publishing, other cultures, big eye or bird's eye view, you're being asked to evolve in a more local setting. Okay, so let's see what the cards say. Can I get Neptune and Pisces in the 11th house for Taurus ascendant? Heart awakening. Awaken to acceptance and divine love. Give and receive in balance. Okay, let's do the other ones. Now I have a card for Aries Sun, Taurus ascendant with their North Node in the 3rd house. Card to represent the North Node. What we say, Lemuria. Creating heaven on earth, it's happening. And this is quite a rich, natural, see also the colors are quite similar here. Sort of a rich, natural environment, lots of pinks and greens. So there's a lot of work also, I think, on your 4th house or in your 4th chakra, which is like heart space opening, moving into nature, really, almost like Earth Day kind of feels. Your job is almost to like plant local gardens, you know, so I think I said it once in another reading where it's think global, act local. That's really the message that I think that you'll find evolutionary. So if you're wondering which associations to be part of, and the 11th house is about, you know, dealing with the collective. So if you feel torn between the collective and your own like immediate. It's saying to focus on the immediate. So can I get a card for the South Node, please, for Aries, Sun, Taurus Ascendant? What do they need to release from the past? That South Node in the 9th house. Okay, I'm going to take, these came up for Aries, so I'm going to take this one. And I wonder if this isn't like, you know, releasing this necessity. Look at the difference in the energies, you know, that perhaps also an Aries Sun with the Taurus Ascendant is kind of like that bull energy, that you don't need to break through barriers anymore, that it's actually much more about planting and harvesting and nurturing into existence, as opposed to having to knock through walls. It's a much softer energy that's in the future than perhaps the one that you're more accustomed to. Now let's see the Artist's Oracle. What words do the artists have for Aries Sun, Taurus Ascendant? Aries Sun, Taurus Ascendant. What do the artists have to say to Aries Sun, Taurus Ascendant? The bottom one here. Paul Gauguin, who of course lived in Tahiti, moved to Tahiti, and that's where when he started to flourish, when he left the city and went to nature, because his earlier paintings didn't do well. So, so Paul Gauguin's advice to us for life, work, and inspiration is go far to go far, exaggerate the subtle, share the unseen, and only an outsider sees inward. You know, so it's almost about bringing that big world understanding. You know, Gauguin moved from Paris to Tahiti and was able to sort of observe other cultures and then bring relevance to them by paying attention to what was happening in his immediate. So I kind of feel like maybe you bring your past experience, like this past big picture experience, to a smaller community. Kind of like people who stop working in multinationals and end up doing like local businesses. It's definitely has to do with some nature, some observation of nature, some painting of nature, some making gardens, rose flowers, you know. So there's a celebration of the natural, the immediate natural surroundings is what I would say is kind of your creative triangle right now. Okay, let's do Gemini. Okay, so Aries Sun, Gemini Ascendant has Neptune in the 10th house. So you may be feeling very idealistic about the kind of businesses you want to create, your work. You may be disillusioned with things with former work situations, and now you kind of want to create your ideal business setting, and so you're trying to figure out what that is, and you're dreaming of it, but every time you get closer to it, it sort of evaporates. And the North Node in the 2nd house and the South Node in the 8th house actually asks you, because North Node in 2nd house is Tauruses, so it's about seeding, it's about value, it's about things that are concrete, whereas the South Node is the 8th house is about merging. So you want to move away from that blending of people and into things that are a little bit more concrete, which is interesting with the Neptune in the 10th house. So I would say here that just that triangle means that whatever the visions, dreams, illusions, ideals that are coming to you in terms of how you want to be identified by the external world. It's time to start seeding them in a very concrete manner. Now, you may not see fruit yet. That will happen probably when the North Node moves into your first house, but it is asking you to begin to take those feelers and plant them in a way that's concrete. So let's see here what the cards say. Can I get a card for Aries, Sun, Gemini, Ascendant, and Neptune and Pisces? Krishna, devotion. Trust your spiritual guidance. Your commitment has been recognized. You are loved unconditionally, right? So even if you can't see it, it's recognized on a spiritual level. So now let's look at the North Node in the second house here. Can I have a card? Take that one for North Node in the second house. Don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? Okay, so are you, and remember I said it's about like moving away from that merging energy. Eighth house is like kind of soulmates, or like hiding underneath, being the energy that lives underneath, unearthed. So this is asking, where are you not shining as much as you could be? And you see kind of the glow that's around both of them. So this is saying it's okay to come out, and this is saying that you might be hiding your own light. Let's see what the South Node says. Can I get a card for Aries, Sun, Gemini, Ascendant? Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is what you have to give up, and this is kind of funny. So it's asking you to give up the Three of Cups. So if you're partying too hard and that's what's blocking you, like you're too tired to do the things that you want to, or if there's too many people in the mix, these are all lone figures, right? So you come from, and this is the eighth house. So it says to me that there's like a lot of maybe former partnership, and a piece of it is to learn also how to work on your own, how to develop yourself without the assistance or presence of someone else, and to be okay with, and look, you see how there's three figures there also? So here the three figures are merged, and here she's really stepping out and letting these other two people fade into the background. So whatever this Three of Cups is, if there's three-party situations, too much partying going on, other people that you've been relying on, it's asking you to walk away from them and to start moving into yourself. Now, let's get some advice from the artists. Can I have a card for Aries, Sun, Gemini, Ascendant? What do the artists have to say to Aries, Sun, Gemini, Ascendant? Aries, Sun, Gemini, Ascendant. Advice from the artists. I love that three figures thing. That's crazy. And they're wearing the same color. Amazing. Can I get advice for Aries, Sun, Gemini, Ascendant from the artist? What does the artist world have to say to Aries, Sun, Gemini, Ascendant? Okay. Sophie, I have to admit, I don't know how to say her name. So I'm going to say Sophie Cal, which would be French. But it says, put on a good show for the surveillance cameras. Distance makes the heartbreak stronger. Invade neighboring states of privacy. Interesting. So you see, it's also, look at that with the eyes closed. And put on the good show for the surveillance cameras so people are starting to watch. Don't be afraid of that. Distance makes the heartbreak stronger. So you may not like this separation, but it seems to be necessary. invade neighboring states of privacy. I'm going to let you meditate on that one. A little cryptic for me, but maybe it means something to someone else. Okay? Okay, let's do Aries Sun, Cancer Ascendant. So you have Neptune in your 9th house, which is breaking down foreign countries, foreign people, publishing, philosophies, old beliefs. Maybe you don't know what you believe anymore. Maybe you're kind of feeling your way into new beliefs, or you're idealizing foreign cultures. Your North Node in the 1st house means that you are coming into a period of personal evolution. So how the world sees you, what you bring to life, kind of like what your solar system is about. So South Node is in the 7th. So this means that you are releasing a lot of past relationship patterns. Maybe some open enemies coming out into the fray. It's really a time about building you as an individual. So it looks like that South Node in the 7th house is going to make relationships pretty difficult for the time being as you release, until you sort of learn how to be a nurturing individual within the couple, as opposed to blending. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I would say that the Neptune in the 9th is changing how you sort of see yourself in the world and how you experience yourself in relationships. So all right, I'll take it. Neptune in the 9th. Expect miracles. The Holy Spirit is with you. So remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the cards that come up for this. May I have a card for the North Node in the 1st house for Cancer? Aries Sun, Cancer Ascendant, North Node in the 1st house. What are they evolving to? North Node in the 1st house for Aries Sun, Cancer Ascendant. Leap. You go first. The universe will catch you. So there's a question about faith here, because it says Spirit has your back, expect miracles, and maybe you're afraid to make the leap away from that past into your future. And it's saying that that it's got you covered. And here's that full moon, which just passed. So whatever you're afraid of doing, the message is coming across that you have no reason to be afraid. And perhaps you're also like kind of coming into a period of faith, maybe more spirituality, maybe you found religion, maybe you are forming your own religion, but whatever it is, there's a blessing. And there's this Ace of Cups image in there. You see where the dove is bringing something into the cup, the divine cup. So you should, whatever Neptune is bringing you in the 9th house is going to help you. You need to move into whatever those like dreams, fantasies, ideals, illusions, spirituality, whatever that energy that's coming towards you is going to help you make your next step in your evolution. Now, all right, South Node. Beyond delusion. Okay, interesting. You see how it's like that butterfly imagery that's repeated, and we also got that in that full moon. So this is a big full moon for you, actually. In terms of now what happens in releasing also. So this is the World card, and it says to go beyond delusion. So you see how she's like very focused on her third eye there. You guys may be having a very big spiritual awakening right now, sort of breaking through the chrysalis, coming out as a butterfly. what you have to leave behind, it's, you know, it's saying to like, to start making whatever you have going on in your head, to actually make it concrete. Take that next step. Don't just let it stay as a dream. You have to be willing to, I guess this is kind of like the Fool energy, you know, take a leap of faith. Let's see what the Artist Oracle has to say. What do the artists have to say to Aries Sun, Cancer Ascendant, please? Aries Sun, Cancer Ascendant. Aries Sun, Cancer Ascendant. What do the artists have advice for Aries Sun, Cancer Ascendant? Slow to chat. Okay. Oh, there we go. Joseph Boys. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take the bottom one. I'll tell you why I'm gonna take the bottom one. You see that shape there? Okay. So Georgia O'Keeffe, lovely female artist. The advice here is nature can keep a secret. Keep Freud guessing. Sounds very cryptic. You can't run away from yourself, but running away from others. Okay, there we go. You can't run away from yourself, but running away from others can be quite productive. So that was kind of what I was saying at the beginning. That yours is how to release those partnerships that no longer help you, taking a leap into sort of individuality. The other two are a teeny bit cryptic. Nature can keep a secret. Keep Freud guessing means like he had all of his analysis on how or why things were happening, you know, or so maybe like to be unpredictable, or move into your imagination so that things are not as predictable. I'm gonna take just the last one, which I think is more applicable. You can't run away from yourself, but running away from others can be quite productive. Okay. Let's do Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant. So you have Neptune in the 8th. Now, Neptune in the 8th, I have that natally. It's a very psychic house. Neptune in the 8th, should also be careful about drinking, because a couple of drinks and you can get very sexual. But it's like a disillusion of a water house, right? So breaking down psychological patterns, maybe not necessarily, you have an ability now to suddenly see people's underlying motives. This is a very psychic transit. And with North Node in the 12th house, that's actually it's developing your hidden powers and the things that lie beneath. With the South Node in the 6th house. So the South Node, the 6th house is about like day-to-day health, you know, food, diet, errands, things that you have to do every day. And so it's asking to kind of break out of that routine of a very strict day-to-day life and sort of move towards a more spiritual, shapeless house. This may feel like a very uncomfortable transit because they're both water houses, the Neptune and the 12th house, away from a concrete house. The 6th is the Virgo, and that's a little bit more solid. So this can feel a little bit uncomfortable, maybe like you're losing your bearings. a little bit almost lost at sea. So let's see what the cards say. Neptune in 8th house for Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant. What's the message from Neptune in the 8th house? Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant. Divine Alchemy. And alchemy is an 8th house project with merging of different substances to become one, very like soulmate energy. So move beyond current challenges, focus on what you desire. Okay, let's see what else the cards have to say. Can I get a card for Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant, North Node, 12th house? Take a break. Life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. Okay, and you see kind of like colors are similar, sort of purple. And that's kind of, you know, what this is saying, that you're coming from a very sort of do place, which is the South Node in the 6th house, and it's asking you to take on a little bit more. I'm sorry, that's my cat freaking out. To take on a more relaxing, immersive. You see this character here who's delving into the water. You know, to like be okay with losing yourself in all of that sort of watery energy. That it doesn't always have to be, you don't always have to be running. You can swim to your destination as well. So let's see, what does the South Node have to say? So South Node in the 6th house for Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant. What do they have to let go of? Okay, sorrow. This is the 9 of Wands energy. So it's kind of like a don't worry, be happy message. Let go of the things in your mind from the past that you carry forward, or maybe even about like losing that day-to-day routine. Whatever it is that's holding you back, that you feel this kind of anxiety over and grief in the 6th house, can also be pets. It's asking you to move into a higher energy, to lose yourself in that water, space of water. Let's see what the artists have to say for Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant. What wisdom can the artists give us here? Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant. Words from the artists. Aries Sun, Leo Ascendant. What word can the artist bring us? Yeah, take the top one. Okay, love it. So this is from Turner, who is an English painter who did like nature scenes. And the message here is find the facts in a feeling. So, you know, it's like, as it says, moving into this kind of more feeling energy as opposed to doing energy. That Neptune there, where the feeling is the doing, you know, it is, you don't have to worry about like, did I dream that, or is that real, or is it imagined? Find the facts in a feeling. Nature does not sit still, and the sun will rise whether or not you are there to watch it, which is interesting because you are Leo and it talks about the sun. So that you may be afraid of this current period as somehow like putting out your fire energy, or that you feel a little bit spent. And what this says is that the sun rises either way. So don't be afraid about maybe like stepping into this deep sea of feelings, the unknown, because as it does every day, the sun will rise again. Okay? Let's do Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, Neptune is in the 7th house. Aries Sun, Neptune, Aries Sun, Virgo Ascendant, Neptune in the 7th house. This may mean that you are not seeing romantic partners clearly. It may be that you don't know if you can trust the person that you are in a romantic relationship with. You may not know what you want anymore, or you may have someone that you're idealizing. You may have had a soulmate come into your life, but you're not sure whether it's a spiritual experience or something concrete. Now, your North Node is going to be in the 11th house and your South Node in the 5th house. So the North Node in the 11th is more about being of use to the collective, hopes and wishes, friendship as opposed to relationship. It's more about friends than lovers, which is the 5th house. More about the group than the individual. The 5th house is the sun's house, so it's creativity, joy, children, lovers. But it's also about being the center of everything, whereas the 11th, it's about being part of a collective. So it's asking you, this disillusion in the 7th house, or the inability to identify which partner is right for you, is helping you find your bigger tribe and move away from a more ego-centered creative energy and into a more collective-based creativity. Now let's see, Neptune in Pisces. In the 7th for Aries, Sun, Virgo, Ascendant. May I have one card, please? Oh, the top. Dharma unfolding. Remember that you are on a path. Take one step at a time to happiness. Okay, now let's see how the rest of that plays out. May I have for Aries, Sun, Virgo, Ascendant, a card representing the North Node in the 11th house. Aries, Sun, Virgo, Ascendant. What's their North Node in the 11th house? I'll take the top. Retreat, rest, be held. Deep replenishment. Okay, you see there's like a lot of blue here also. Let's get the last piece. Can I have a card to represent the South Node, please, for Aries, Sun, Virgo, Ascendant? South Node in their 5th house. Aries, Sun, Virgo, Ascendant. Kept getting like multiple options. Okay, so they're all saying the same thing. There's a lot of water energy here. But you know, is it like, maybe is there group retreats? One step at a time. So, you know, everything's telling here to slow down, but although the South Node is sometimes it's just advice. Are you worried about not, you know, so Virgo knows that everything goes one step at a time, but Virgo can also be very anxious. And so what this is saying to me is that actually in the slowness of this process unfolding, that is, you know, Joseph Campbell said the medium is the message. So it's in the slowness of the process, which may be very uncomfortable to you, that you find your tribe. Because you remember the reading last week, or the reading for the moon also said, because there's the moon here waning, also said that it was time to be social, get out there and be like social butterflies. And so I feel like it's on the path. It makes me think also of like the Camino di Santiago, you know, the one that they do to Santiago de Compostela, that it's like on the path, finding your tribe on your path, right? And if you're in too much of a rush on that path, you won't pick up the people that you need to pick up. And you may be in the process of going at it alone with fiery energy. And as you kind of walk along, you want to stop and smell the roses and sort of pick up the other people along the way. Now let's see what the artists have to say about this. Can I have a card for Aries Sun, Virgo Ascendant, please? From the artists' wisdom. Aries Sun, Virgo Ascendant, please. Top. Okay, so Titian. Some of these they're really funny. So, okay, it's funny because it's Virgo, you know, this is a Virgo word. It says go viral, not bacterial. And then it says a flattered client is a repeat client. Your personality can be as colorful as your canvas. So, you know, viral is about spreading to as many people as possible. And about kind of letting your true colors show so that you can also attract your tribe, that you don't have to be reserved or you don't have to be focused, that you can let all of the sort of freak flag colors fly here. Okay, let's move on.